So now that we're confident, you've seen from a distance our positioning here, it looks very good. What I'm gonna do is do kind of a final prep. So I'm just gonna pull off this here because we're lined up exactly where we wanna be. Make sure this is here. And I'm just gonna wipe the surface area down here like one more time with ethanol. Now, with a rubbing alcohol. Just doing here is I'm ensuring that any fingerprints I put on the car during the process of laying down the decal or any kind of other dirt that happened while I'm laying this down is off the surface before I apply it. So the surface area has been prepped now. It's free of any final dirt or contamination. So all we need to do is just find an edge here on our decal to get started. This can be a little bit of a challenge. Then we went ahead and got a start here. Now, before I peel this all the way off, other thing I wanted to mention is that, you know, instead of trying to manhandle this and freehandle it, we already have an edge that's tacked down here. So all I have to do is remove the back end of the decal and then slowly push it down from the other side and then rub the decal down. This makes things very easy for application. I always get a lump in my throat when I start this process. One thing that's great to do is just to apply it up here, pin it up against a part of the car, and then since we already know where a location is, I'm gonna gently just let it hang there for a second. And it's actually, I'm glad I brought this tool out. I'm gonna make sure it stays flush with the car and give it the first one down there like that. You get a little bit of unevenness here, you can still kind of manipulate the decal and kind of get it with the contour of the car. But then I'm making sure here that I'm still in line here because I'm extraordinarily paranoid and type A and making sure that's still in line, and I do feel that. Now the great thing with vinyls like this though, I mean depending on how much money you spend per vinyl, is that if it really did turn out that bad or you didn't like one side, you can go ahead and get another one and do it again. It's not paint, it's not permanent on the car, you can always take it off if you're not satisfied. But I am very satisfied with this. I think it did a good job. So now I'm just gonna go through and thoroughly contour the car. And this is why you have this nice soft part on here is, you know, if I now, depends on how picky you are, and actually what I like to do sometimes even with that is to wrap this in a towel in case I go over the decal onto the car itself so I'm not scratching up the car. But it's always better to make sure you got enough pressure and the decal is actually matted down. You know, if on a very small level that you might not even be able to see, you know, if this hasn't completely contoured, you're theoretically pushing the decal down into place where you want it. So it's always good to just contour and make sure that you get the decal on the car in the manner that you want to get it. And of course, there's nothing I can do about it at this point because now it's applied and that's the end of it. So you can see after final prep, we're right with the line down here we want to be that I measured previously. And now you can see why it was so important for me to cut so close to that decal, because as opposed to using the paper for the decal as my measuring guide, I use the actual decal itself, and that's what's going to be in line with the car. That's what's fundamentally critical for doing this process. You can never, in my opinion and in my experience, you can never trust the paper because you don't know how they cut it. Good places might give you an aid and actually, you know, are cutting it straight, but here I just can't trust that. So that's why I got extraordinarily close to the decal here and cut so I can line that up. And then also the same thing with the G here, 2 inches away from that point that I measured. And I'm going to be doing the same thing on the other side. So that's a very simple vinyl decal install. Thanks for tuning in with me here at MSH Garage, and I'll look forward to bringing more content.